Well, I'm tired. Not me, but they are the words repeatedly uttered by Western Australian Mark McGowan after his shock resignation yesterday afternoon. And he joins a trend of public figures and politicians who've called it quits recently, citing exhaustion.
But the truth is, I'm tired. Extremely tired. In fact, I'm exhausted. The role of political leadership doesn't stop. It's relentless.
I've got nothing left in the tank. And unless you can give 110% to the role of Premier, you shouldn't be doing this job, and I can no longer give more than 110%.
Just don't have enough in the tank for another 4 years. After going on 6 years of some big challenges, I am human. Politicians are human.
It became apparent, probably 2 weeks ago that the time was about right, and in all honesty, I'd rather leave too early, too late. The club means so much to me, and I want to make sure that I leave the game loving the game, not resenting the game.
Well, let's bring in Lyndall Hughes now, the Managing Director of Q5 Australia, who's an expert in organisational health. Lyndall, thanks for your time. So we do have that trend there, and burnout, it's a thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, listening to all those clips, you can just feel the weight of exhaustion that they have, just how flat they are. Absolutely. It's a clinical condition and it's becoming more prominent. Does
it tend to happen more so at the top of whatever profession there is, where pressure is highest?
It can happen anywhere. Burnout comes when our perceived ability to cope and have the capacity to deal with everyday stresses just becomes too much. I would say perhaps the more senior the role, the more difficult and the more layered the challenges, definitely. I think the other piece about being at the very top, whether it's a Premier, Prime Minister, a senior executive, there aren't many places to go to get help. You're often expected to be the one to have the answers.
So what are the signs?
Signs are changes. So starting to see changes in yourself. It could be behavioural, it could be changes in sleep patterns, not getting enough sleep, changes in eating, changes in thinking. So as that layer of strain builds, we can become more confused. We can struggle to make decisions and really not perform at our best.
If it's not addressed, it's not an easy decision to step aside, and everyone refers to this. It's not easy, but if it's not addressed, or if a resignation perhaps doesn't come, what can it lead to?
Well, it can lead to clinical mental illness at the extreme. The interesting thing about stress and strain is, we do need stress and strain to perform. So it's something that we need and shouldn't avoid, but we need to keep it at a high functioning level. And the interesting thing about strain is it's not this gentle sloping away of performance and health as it mounts. It actually drops pretty quickly.
Right.
And when we're in that spiral, it's hard to pull ourselves out. We actually need those around us to start to see it and to prompt us to start doing something different.
I know, and then can that just lead to another stress though? Because essentially, if you resign, you don't have a job to go to in most instances. So I mean, does that become the next stress off the back of it?
This is a message that I give to executives all the time. You take your whole self with you, so it's far better, if possible, to catch the signs early and to start putting some balance back into your life. Before you leave. Otherwise, to your point, you need to learn the lessons afterwards, and that's a harder journey in many ways.
Yeah. When you talk about balance, getting out for exercise, eat better, try and sleep, despite whatever pressures you might be experiencing?
Absolutely. Look, they say exercise could be just the magic bullet, really. It is less likely if you exercise regularly to go into burnout. If you do happen to go into burnout, it will pull you out more rapidly. One of the key things that we do know from research globally is this concept of detachment, having a period every day when you can mentally and physically detach from work. And when you think about premiers and politicians, that's pretty difficult, particularly with social media.
Good to have you, Lyndall. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Quick